Welcome back. We're going to have on a great guest today. We'll have on Wilbur Valdez, head coach of Union City, won their first sectional title. Been a legendary coach, winning season year after year after year. Played at the U, was a fullback there. Played with a lot of legends. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about when we get him on in a little bit. We'll talk about for seeing there. Oh, we'll talk about the rise of Union City and how he built that program, and how they maintained their consistency. Played at when he was in high school, played at Hoboken High School, and it's quite a journey from Hoboken to University of Miami to head coach of Union City to state sectional champion. We'll have Wilbur Valdez on. We'll also soon have Coach DePascal on. There's a ton of things going on that have been pretty incredible in the space of college football with Texas A&M, with Mike Elko being named head coach there, which is was a little bit controversial because Mark Stoops was going to be named head coach, and then that quickly shifted to Mike Elko, who had coached there before. I think it's interesting that he did a great job at Duke, but will that translate to Texas A&M? I mean, getting recruits is not the problem, but playing in the SEC is. Well, without further ado, let me bring on Coach DePascal. What's up, Coach?
What's up, Coach? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Hopefully we'll get Coach Valdez on soon.
He just texted me, said he was taking care of something. He'll be on in about 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. I was just talking about Texas A&M and that whole saga with Mike Elko and being named head coach. Obviously did a fantastic job at Duke.
Duke and Texas A&M, bro.
Right. And they had the opportunity to get Mark Stoops. And then in the
fell apart in the 11th hour.
Kind of like the fan base thing. A lot of people related to
when Shiano was going to go to Tennessee.
Right. When Shiano was going to go to Tennessee and how there was backlash there and they backed off and they're still searching Tennessee wise. So
yeah,
I mean,
pretty much. Yeah. We both know that one. Look, everybody wants to always, hey, get rid of this guy, Like, we need a new guy. The grass isn't always greener, and there's not. I mean, everybody thinks, the next move is the best one. Look, man, this stuff ain't easy, right? And to find the right fit, to be in that program, to do what you got to do. I mean, when's the last time Texas A&M was really like something? I mean, you had a little Johnny Manziel era, right, where they brought some notoriety to the program. But when's the last time they really won?
Bear Bryant.
That's what I said. I mean, and there's
boys.
It's Texas, so they're starving for, anything. I mean, listen, when you're paying how much to get rid of a guy, you're paying $90 million for a guy to not coach. Like, it's a different type of situation. And I don't know about the move. I don't know. I think Duke is sure as heck not, Texas A&M. He was fortunate to have a good QB there. What's he walking into? QB situation. What's the roster like? I mean, Texas A&M's a mess. There's a lot of work that has to be done. And, these guys don't just grow on trees. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's a lot of talent there. And Mike Elko was a coach there. And so, everyone was kumbaya about it. I don't know. I mean, to me, Stoops would be one of the top candidates you could have available. And what Stoops is, I mean, let's look at Bear Bryant, right? He was Kentucky. That's where he actually he turned around Kentucky, Bear Bryant. Then he went to Texas A&M, made them into a national champion.
Junction boys.
Yep. And then he went to Alabama, right? So
where he's, where he made his, staple.
Yeah. So if you think about it, they almost they could have had maybe the next Bear Bryant there. What Mark Stoops has done has been pretty incredible at Kentucky. Duke, I mean, right.
And you're talking Mark Stoops, the guy that came from, Miami, then he was at Florida State for a while. So he's been around those big programs that have done it. Only when he was with them, he was in a coordinator role, right? So Kentucky, that was kind of the first, okay, they always looked at as bottom end of the SEC, right? They always just kind of get beat up, but they always finish around 500. So here you go. Like, now you have this guy willing to get to your spot, and it falls apart. I mean, I don't know. To me, I would have thought that would have been a better fit than Elko, but
how about Lance Leopold?
What do I know?
How about Lance Leopold? Like, what he's done, it's always amazing me that he doesn't
Where's
get
Cliff
named.
Kingsbury?
What happened?
Where's Cliff Kingsbury? He was the OC there with Manziel. Why isn't he going back?
Cliff Kingsbury sits on the beach, dude. Like,
USC. But now listen, the Carolina Panthers just fired Frank Reich like 9 games into his first season.
Incredible. With a brand new quarterback.
His pick.
It was his pick? Well, that's what they're blaming then.
Well, here's the deal, too. I mean, also, I just think that, like,
I don't know.
I'm not a big fan.
Bryce Young is great. How does a 5'10", like, how does a 5'10" guy survive in the NFL? Not 5'10", 220. 5'10", 180 survive in the NFL. Like,
What I love, though, is C.J. Stroud, bro, and how he's just lighting it up, man. And I love to see that, right? Because, those Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL get a bad rap.
Yeah, well, he's the first one to really.
First one.
Yeah. Yeah.
To actually do. I mean, now look, I don't count Joe Burrow as an Ohio State kid.
Well, no, Joe Burrow definitely isn't
right. But I mean, who is the other one? The only other one that had any type of success was because he was just a pure athlete and won the Heisman, right? What was his name? Who am I talking about? Ohio State, little guy.
Troy. Yeah, won the national championship.
Won the national. He was there. I don't know. I'll get it. I'll pick it up. But yeah. I mean, look. This is where these 2 weeks give us most of our content to talk about nonstop coaching wise when it comes to this guy's here, this guy's going there, this guy's going here, because tis the season, right? Like, it is what it is. The end of the seasons have come. All right, this didn't work out. Now we're going to give this guy a shot, give that guy a shot. But, going back to what I was saying with Frank Reich.
Troy Smith.
That's it. I played for the Ravens a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think he did very well, but.
No. But I would say guys that when you lose a job or you get fired, those guys that now go and jump right back into another job, I don't know, man. My thing is, it's always, okay, I got fired. It doesn't matter what the situation is, right? Let me take a step back. Let me evaluate how I do things. Maybe I need to do this. Let me go see some people, go talk to some people. I'm not a fan of guys that jump right back into it and just take another gig right away.
Right.
I feel like you need that little decompression. You need that, okay, let me kind of evaluate everything that's going on within my program or how I do things, and then you can move forward. I mean, look, it's also not like Frank Reich was a killer with the Colts. No,
he didn't do well there. Didn't do
I mean,
well.
I was hearing a report that he's the greatest backup quarterback that ever lived.
Well, I think he's the guy that executed the comeback when
they said that they
were down.
A career backup. College, he was a career backup at Maryland and only came in and won a big game or whatever. Pros, the same thing. He was a career backup or whatever. I mean, McAfee was talking about it yesterday. He coached him when he was with the Colts, right? Because Coach Reich was an assistant or whatever. And he's like, look, I love the guy as a position coach. Some guys just aren't head coaches. We talk about that all the time.
Did Frank Reich, who was he behind in Maryland? Boomer Esiason? Or?
Oh, no, come on, man. That's you.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Let's see if I'm
You're
right.
the guy, man. You're the I didn't even know he went to Maryland.
Frank Reich looks like he just rolled out of bed.
They also did that. When they do this is what the president looks like at the beginning of his term. This is what he looks like 8 years later. They did Frank Reich. It was a funny meme. It was like Frank Reich on day 1 of training camp, Frank Reich getting fired week 10 or whatever it was. Oh. My man needs a spa. He needs a little avocado facial, some cucumbers on the eyes. He needs to be relaxed, man, because
he wasn't really bad until he got fired in 2020. Oh, he's in a slump, man. He's in a slump.
Dude, he hasn't done
Well, he was 10-6 at Indy, then 7-9. But he had Andrew Luck probably, right?
Well,
Then
that's when
11
Andrew Luck walked away. I think he dealt with that whole situation, right? Or was that before that?
Well, we're finding. I don't know when Andrew Luck must have walked away in 2021 or something.
Because is that when the?
But when he went, he was 10-6, 7-9, 11-5, then 9-8, 3-5 fired, and then yeah. But I was.
Who gets the job?
Oh, he's a Christian, so I do like Reich. Let me see here. I'm on his Wikipedia page. I'm trying to figure out if I'm right on this. I want to know if he was. Oh, I'm right, dude. How about this? Let me read it to you. Is that good or what? Reich was accepted University of Maryland Athletic Scholarship, played for Maryland Terrapins team. He was both backup to and roommate of Boomer Esiason for 3 years. Come on, baby.
That must have been hell. That must
the
be
history of football. Some reason, I said to this is completely side topic. I said to my son, I said, if I could do it again, I would say, you know so much from Matt. Like you could ask him, you could say like, I don't know, who's a good D lineman on X team, and he'll give it to you right away. He'll be like 98 overall score on Madden.
You know who the
I said you got to be a GM one day if you don't
you know who the Madden adjuster is?
Who is it?
Ocho Cinco.
He's what do you mean the adjuster?
So like when guys bitch and they're like, yo, I'm not an 85 speed, I'm an 89 speed. They send something to Ocho, he takes a look at it and he's like, all right, we'll bump him up.
He works for that? He works for EA?
He works for Madden.
He works for EA Sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know, like for Madden stuff.
Hey, that's what he does, dude.
That's a good job, though. That's a good gig.
Are you kidding me? These guys get pissed.
He probably has to deal with a lot, but he probably
can you imagine? Why, yo, come on, man.
And he's crazy anyway.
The 65, like I could bench it. Like there's guys probably sending him numbers, all that craziness, man. That's wild. I thought that was so interesting that he was that guy.
That's so funny.
I mean, think about it. He's always, I was watching something else too on the art of route running the other night. NFL Films did a breakdown of it and talking about it. And they're like, who's the greatest route runner of all time? And it was kind of like he was up there with him because he was one of the original ones to really start working, the basketball moves off the line of scrimmage and getting free releases because guys started to press, right? So he was big on that. Obviously, right now, everybody says Devontae Adams is the best guy in the league as is. But, who was the other one? Stephon Diggs. Those three.
Jerry Rice or Steve Largent?
Well, Jerry Rice, obviously, they think overall, like all three phases of it, right? Because they kind of broke it down into like, all right, you have the release, then you have your stem, and then you have the top of the route, right? And they're like, dude, Ocho, nobody ever touched him on line scrimmage. I was like, yeah, but he couldn't learn a playbook in New England.
Was he old? Although he didn't retire that old, did he? Or not?
No, I think he kind of got forced out. He goes, look, and then I went to go and play in Canada. He goes, and I thought I was just going to go there and like ball out. He goes, Canada, different, man. Like they got some dogs up there. Like, yeah, no kidding, man. Like we're like guys can play everywhere. He was like, in fact, like enamored with the fact that he went up there and it was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to do my thing. And it's like, no, dude, there's real dudes here. Remember he used to kick?
Oh yeah, he kicked in. Yeah, I remember that.
Like an extra point and all that kind of stuff. He was a wild man, dude. Changed his name, used to do all that kind of crazy. But he was like, I was,
he's Chad Johnson, right?
Chad Johnson,
which is now Chad. Is he still called by Ocho Cinco?
I guess. I think he's just so like he's too loud because if he goes and travels on everybody's podcast. You know what I mean? Like. He was a nut. Eating McDonald's. He said he lived in the stadium for the first 2 years of his career.
I saw that. I saw that whole thing on that. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. That
he's like, why would they're like? And I
saved his money. Save his money, right? Save his money.
It was Marvin Lewis was his head coach. He's like, Chad, you got to get a place, dude. Like you can't be living in the facility because the facility, I guess, was attached to the stadium. So he actually lived in the stadium. And it's also Cincinnati, dude. Like it's not like you're like that shit's good. Like, come on, man.
It's not New York where it's expensive,
right? And he's from Florida.
Wow, he's a Florida guy all the way. Florida guys march to their own drum.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. He's wow. He played more FIFA than I think he did like any other sport, whatever.
Well, I think he was a great soccer player, right? Wasn't he?
Excellent, which is why I think he was able to kick and do all that.
Yeah. That's pretty funny, actually. That's really, really funny.
I don't know if you saw this. This was before this week. I don't know if you watched any of the games or any of the coverage.
Yeah, I did.
This week. Listen, man, like listening to some of these guys in the studio, like, did you hear Gronk? He was ripping apart the Patriots, man. He's like, he was just going off. Like, this is not the Patriots that I know. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you got field goal guys missing, field goal kickers missing easy kicks. And like, just this guy's throwing interceptions all over the place. Like 4-yard passes are getting tipped. Like he was losing his mind on, what is he on? I think he's
obviously
on
now we all know that Tom Brady was the most important factor in the Patriots' success. What's his name? Everyone's going to jump on the bandwagon because Bill Belichick's an easy target in the sense that the way that he is, he doesn't want to talk to anybody. Like,
right, because they know, like, if they say something, he's not going to come and combat them and be like, "What are you doing?"
Plus, he's easy to hate. He's an easy guy to hate.
He's an old grumpy man, old school ways, Mr. Tough. That was the first time the Giants beat the Patriots, I believe, in the regular season.
With Tommy DeVito.
I think that was since '87 when Belichick was the DC for the Giants.
Rasiopi must be uber excited, dude. He had two of his guys. Who else? Is anyone else starting? Or those two?
Those two, Pickett.
Pickett, is he back or he was hurt? I thought, right? Or he's.
Hang on, let me get coach here. Yeah, I said that.
You getting him settled in?
Yeah, he was in a parent-teacher conference, and I sent him the link, but I'll just forward it to him through this. He's all good. Did you see last night?
I didn't watch last night's game. No,
me neither. It was terrible. How about the high school games?
I just saw the scores. I saw
Micah, animal.
You can't stop Micah, dude.
Impossible, dude. And you know who else had a really good game? Pruitt.
You're not on.
I know. Yeah, I'm just sending stuff right now to coach.
Pruitt had a great game. Pruitt, when he played with us that year, you weren't there that year. He was.
Well, he's a Donovan transfer.
He was fantastic that year. That
we should be good, coach. He should be here at any second.
He was fantastic.
He's like that X factor, coach. He's that guy.
He's very athletic, very, very athletic. And then, they just have a lot of weapons. I don't think PCT has as many weapons as they have. And that's probably why. But the shocker was Rumson had the lead. They were up at 14-7 and lost 21-20. That was a big shocker in overtime. But Westwood is is the one North Jersey public that really, really just blew everybody out all year long. That was going to be a good game between them and Rumson. I think I lost Coach D. I don't know where he went. He's surfing somewhere. There he is. But I said, are you there? I lose you? Or?
Yeah, no, I got you. Give me a sec. Let me just get him all set up, and I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. All right, good. So, trying to get Coach Valdez on right now. Talk some more high school football. What was I going to say? So, yeah, those two games were great. Today is the two big games in New Jersey football. Red Bank Catholic versus DePaul Catholic in the Parochial B, and Bergen Catholic versus Del Barton. So Del Barton's only loss, was to a school out in Pennsylvania in a close game. Bergen Catholic's only loss was to Chaminade Madonna out of Florida. So that and they haven't met this year yet. So this should be a great game. And then obviously Red Bank Catholic, which is the power of the Shore area, versus DePaul Catholic. which has had a lot of success. And that's a rematch for the third year in a row, I believe. I think DePaul Catholic was
Gonna be a good one.
DePaul won last.
Yes, DePaul
year.
won last year. RBC won the year before.
Right. So this is round 3.
And they've developed a little something. It's gonna be a nice cold night. Listen, the games yesterday, according to like a lot of the people that I heard or spoke to, that Rumson Westwood game was one of the best games they've ever seen in their life. I mean, in terms of Rumson, 4th and goal from the 2, up by a score. 4th and goal from the 2, or 4th and goal from the 2. Yeah, 4th and goal from the 2, I think. Maybe they were up by whatever. Westwood gets the stop, drives 99 yards in 5 minutes and 30 seconds to score, tie it, and go to overtime.
Whoa. And then wins in overtime.
And so then whatever happens, overtime, then they go.
Rumson must have scored, and then Westwood scored to kick
Rumson
that.
scored.
Didn't make the
scored. They blocked the extra point. Score a touchdown. Now we're going.
I don't think I would.
All you got to do is kick it to win it, baby. And it's.
If that happened to me, I don't think I could get over it. If I had a blocked extra point, I don't think I could ever get over it. I think I'd be talking about it for 25 years.
Listen, my state championship, they're up 7-0, or we're up 7-0. They score. We block the extra point, 7-6. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna win 7-6. We're gonna win. We know what I mean. Whatever. Not how it worked. Not how it worked. But it was yeah. Of course. I mean, I hate to say this, but and Coach presented. If you look at it, the teams in New Jersey that have won state titles, like a lot of them are wing T teams.
I noticed that. I saw a whole thing on that. Westwood is not, but Mainland is.
Mainland, Mountain Lakes.
Did who won between Delran and
no, Delsey.
Delsey, I'm sorry. Delsey. Who they play, Delsey from North Jersey? West Essex?
It was West Essex, Delsey.
Who won that game?
Delsey.
Delsey's a wing T. Yep. And West Essex, I guess.
West Essex is 100% wing T.
Perfect. Let's bring in the wing T guru while we have it right here. Here he comes. Hey, Coach, how's it going?
What's up, Coach?
Hey,
man, appreciate you. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for having me, man.
But before we talk football, I want to talk something that has absolutely nothing to do with football. Okay, about a year ago, you got yourself in great shape, and I saw that process. I want to know the key to what you did to get yourself in the best condition ever.
Man, I got on that treadmill daily. I hit the punching bag, and I just looked down at my stomach every day and said, "Man, this thing got to go."
Yeah.
That's
there
awesome.
You have it.
That's awesome. Back to his, and we did an intro earlier. Coach played at the University of Miami. Was a fullback there. Shout out to fullbacks, one dying breed, not in your offense, but dying breed above once you go higher levels. Fullbacks at one time was a great. I got my scholarship to UConn as a fullback, and then the spread guy came in, Coach Holtz, and kicked me over to linebacker. But it was, oh yeah. Actually, it worked out great for me, but
I did the opposite. Linebacker.
Yeah.
Oh, you went from linebacker to fullback.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Randy Shannon brought in the top 5 linebackers in the country the year after they got me. So I looked around the room and I was like, I could be 4th team or I could be 2nd team and get some reps. So I moved over. They knew I was an all-state fullback as well, and I could catch and handle the ball and block. So
absolutely,
it was a blessing for me too.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, those guys they brought in, they weren't really such, they weren't really some slaps that you were playing with. I mean,
and Morgan was all right.
Yeah, he was okay. Not bad. And he was only the first to come through that whole through the. Once you were gone, that thing just continued to go whoopoo.
Was Vernon Hargraves there when you were there?
He was there after when Randy Shannon left the Dolphins. Then it was Vernon came in, but I had already moved to fullback with Coach Solinger, Donnie Solinger.
What's funny is my linebacker coach in college was Vernon Hargraves.
Yeah, he was at UConn. Yep.
Right, he was a UConn guy. He did never want to leave UConn, but when Holtz came in, he was there with Holtz for a couple of years, but then he decided that like it was best for him to
time to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, to look to see, he would have never picked his head up. I mean, he loved that place, and then looked up, everyone wanted him. He went to Miami, So
that's not bad from Connecticut to Coral Gables. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take that weather. I'll take that weather move. That's for sure.
So we were just talking, and we'll jump right into it. Like you guys had a sectional title this year. You've had a lot of success. I mean, I put in the title legendary coach Wilbur Valdez. I mean,
come on, man.
If he's not already legendary, he's certainly on his way. And you've had tremendous success running the wing tee. And I have a theory as to why the wing tee, I don't want to say it's a resurgence because obviously a lot of the programs have been running the wing tee, but I would say a resurgence of success, right? Like with the wing tee. And I have a theory on it, but I'm curious to hear your side of it. But before I do that, right? Originally you at high school, you played at Hoboken and you guys ran the wing tee there, right?
Right.
So
Coach
that's
Stinson?
where you originally, I guess, got the foundation for the wing tee. Who was the head coach back when you
was it
you were
Coach Stinson?
Yeah, Ed Stinson.
Ed Stinson. Okay, Ed Stinson.
Stud.
So talk to me about what do you think? You guys have had tremendous success with the wing tee. A lot of programs have had some great success with it. Explain to people who don't understand, maybe like guys who are only spread guys, what is really helped the wing tee really sustain its success over time and now even enjoying, at least in the Northeast, a resurgence of success?
Well, I'll say this, and it goes back to some of the things Coach Stinson used to say. When you run the Delaware, you attack the middle of the field, the perimeter of the field, with your multi-back attack. You got your misdirection, and you don't need your linemen to be complete studs. You have a lot of gap and angle blocking where you just guys that can get off the ball and create a permanent hole in the defense. So those things are certainly important. I think another thing Coach Stinson said recently, he sent me some literature on some stuff he wrote and read about. The wing tee in a lot of ways is the spread. He calls it same girl, different dress.
Yes.
Right? It's all it is. I mean, you're attacking the perimeters with your jet sweeps. You're attacking the middle of the field. All spreads teams still run ISO. They power. You still run trap. So it's basically the same thing, and you just window dress it a little bit differently. Okay. But I think wing tee is still successful nowadays. One of the main reasons is that the personality of your team takes on what you do, obviously in practice, what you do in the weight room, and all off season and obviously in summer practices, we're going against each other. And I think you can't run the wing tee or you can't run any type of power offense and be soft. And not saying that any of these spread teams are soft, because obviously our kids are all programmed to be tough kids, but you're practicing against ice. You're practicing against, taking on guards on sweep, et cetera, as opposed to, defending the bubble or defending like it's a little bit different when that's what you do all summer. So I think the defense takes on the personality of the offense, and the offense, vice versa, takes on the personality of the defense. And one of the things that helps people that are still wing tee is that no one's seeing it anymore. So if you have a young who, let's say a 30-year-old coach, he doesn't know what he's looking at. He's seeing
clue.
three.
He's been in a shotgun spread, 4 wide, empty. Like he knows how to handle that when it's this way, but he can't handle that other kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, if you think about it, let's say a guy who played in a spread system or in an I formation system, then went to college, which most likely he didn't see the wing T, then
Hell no.
got right into coaching, and now all of a sudden he's a coach, and he has to try to defend an offense where there's three backs. A lot of times they're going in different direction. The quarterback does a good job of handling the ball and hiding the football from the defense. Like that's pretty tough to defend. Like I played linebacker, and Dave and both of you guys know when you're on the defensive side of the ball, the main thing is to find the football. So
Right.
the way you got one back in the backfield, if your quarterback's not a runner, we
Pretty
know
pretty easy to know where the ball's going.
and off on that guy standing right next to the quarterback. That's that simple. Back in the day, the I formation days, we read the tailback, and that tailback was going to get whacked. If you tricked us with the fullback here and there, all right, we could live with it.
You got one.
In the wing T, you're talking trap, belly, counter, sweep, waggle. That's a lot for a defense to defend.
It's also hard, Coach, I think, for teams to replicate that in practice. So
Exactly.
now you're trying to prepare for something that, with the way the rules are now, right? We're not banging every day like we used to, right? So how am I supposed to know the speed of it and all that kind of stuff when, now I'm asking, my scout team, sophomore guys to look at a card and they're going, well, I've never been in the backfield before. They don't even know how to play the position that they're being asked to play in the scout huddle. Your look now becomes whatever. That first series as a DC against a wing T, I'm holding my breath because, come on, let's just get off the field so we can see what's going on and go from there. I think it's definitely something that has, it's hard for guys, especially even the way that defenses personnel their people now, right? It's not your traditional 4-3 where these three linebackers are linebackers. It's a 4-3 where my outside backers are basically safeties now, right? Or more athletic guys, lighter in the ass kind of. And now I'm asking them to take on a fullback or it's to kind of roll this way or do that. It's definitely intriguing to take a look at it. And we were just talking about it. You look at the teams that are in the finals right now. There's a lot of wing T teams there, man.
No, yeah. And I mean, my hat goes off to those guys. Wing T coaches, we get a lot of criticism. Obviously, people sit up wanting to be entertained. Meanwhile, we're not in the entertainment business. We want to win. So, I hear it something, throw the ball and all this.
Oh, I'm sure you come on, Coach. You win a sectional title going 0 for 2 on passes, no passing whatsoever. But you won the game.
You know what? I've had games. We beat Union High School in the semifinals a couple years ago, and we didn't throw, and we scored 46 points.
Whatever it takes. Now, look, I'm sure that Jimmy in the stand, what are we doing? I mean, Dave, we know all about that kind of stuff. Like, we've been there, done that. But we're winning games, so what do you want to do? Like, it's nice to see the resurgence. I always say, like, if you want to win in this time of year, you got to be able to play defense and you got to be able to run the ball. It's cold. Nobody wants to get hit now. Like this time of year, if you can do that in the playoffs, I feel like you have a pretty good chance of making a nice little run.
Yeah, but that's where I give coaches the most credit for. I mean, being able to, because when it doesn't work out, everybody knows why. Everybody's a genius and everybody's a critic. It's because of that offense. Somebody on Twitter the other day, it was like a side compliment. They was like, well coached team. I would like to see him open up the offense. Yeah, if I open, I wouldn't be who we are.
They don't realize that, you take that away from it, and now all of a sudden now the defense is a little weaker because they're not seeing it.
And they don't understand game management, clock management. Like when you run the ball consistently, you're in control of the football game from the beginning. Like sometimes I want to get the first down on 3rd and short. I don't want to go 1st and 10 to 1st and 10 to 1st and 10. Like sometimes that's my plan, to get 3 in a cloud of dust. If you have a great offense on the other side and you keep them on the sideline,
keep them off the field.
Or just to impose your will on somebody. Like, look, we're going to, sometimes you'll hear, oh, that's the same play. Okay, yes, it is. Stop.
You're right. Yes, it is. And I'll tell you we're running the same play, but I should be better than you to move you off the ball. And this is kind of how we set the tone.
Yeah, the only thing we've done a little bit different than what I came up in, we do a lot of shifting. We do a lot of motioning where now, the strength may be called one way, and we could adjust that just with a quick motion. Now you might have, it could be a personnel thing where you have your best players to the tight end, and then all of a sudden we shift, and now we're running split end side. You know, you could have your dive back split end combo, or your tight end wing combo, and then with just one shift, that all changes up. You know, the main thing for us is the faking, right? Like when you're not carrying the ball, you need
Carry
to
out your fakes.
you need to give the same amount of effort as if you were getting the ball. And you'll see in a lot of our misdirection plays, you know, our guy faking usually takes two guys with him. So I said, if you were blocking, you would not be able to block two people. And look, you just did, just with great effort, you know. So that, I think I'm going to be a wing T guy. I do want to expand to a little bit of other things depending on personnel.
You also have to know your personnel, right? Like, you got to know on my roster, all right, I got a guy that can throw the ball. I got a guy that can do this. I got a guy. But, Coach, you got to, you know, you look at the outside view, you look at Union City as a program, you think tough guys. Like, that's what you just think. You've instilled that with, you know, working out in the weight room and really that off-season stuff that you do, where that's the mentality of your team, you know? So that's kind of how it works. Some of these guys, I don't know if they can handle that based off of a lot of the stuff that they do in the offseason. They don't take on that same type of toughness, gritty, downhill. I mean, look, you've had some big name guys. Your biggest guys that have gone next level have been linemen, pretty much, if you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, that's what it is. That's the program. That's the team. That's kind of what it is.
I think you muted yourself, Coach.
Maybe.
I think you muted yourself, Coach. Muted.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
There you go. No.
Never mind.
It might be mute. Oh,
There you go.
No,
can you hear us? We can hear you.
I can't hear you, but you can hear. It may be the happy. No, he's not. He's not muted on the app. So
Can you mute him on that? And
maybe I could try and mute him. Unmute him.
Yeah, mute him. Maybe.
See if that works. No, I think it's on his side.
Yeah,
I think it's
just log out, come back in.
Yeah.
Any better?
No.
What if we?
Maybe.
He should be all right. Huh?
It must be maybe log out, come back in. That might help you. I can't hear you now.
What I will say though is it's
maybe we'll log him out. I'll log you out. And
yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
Should be able to come back.
I'll tell you.
I don't think people realize like where he came, like where he played, how good Hoboken used to be when he was there, and those types of teams. And then to go to Dave, like he walked into the University of Miami, and he was the fullback for Edgerrin James, right? Like that was the start of their whole like progression to that 2001 championship team.
He's probably a handful of years younger than me, maybe, I guess, or a few years younger than me.
Well, let's see. You graduated UConn what year?
My last year playing, my fifth year was 96.
I want to say that's right around when he got to college.
Okay, cool.
Because I believe he was leaving right at the tail end.
Coach, what year did you enter Miami?
I got to Miami in 96.
So right. So that was my last year of playing. Was your first year? Okay, that makes sense. There was a running back from Hoboken that was probably around my age, I think, who was unbelievable. I never knew what happened to him.
So you would have been
who is it?
Dwayne Peterson.
Dwayne Peterson. That's it.
Yeah,
Dwayne Peterson. He went somewhere, didn't he? And then
he went to Rutgers for
a little bit. Didn't work out.
He had a cup of tea.
Yeah.
He scored 9. I'm not kidding. And correct me if I'm wrong, Coach. 9 touchdowns in the game, right?
Yeah, 9 touchdowns against St. Joe's of West New York. And the funny stat about that game, I think he had like 15 carries. He did not get tackled one time. He got pushed out of bounds twice.
That's incredible. He was incredible.
So he was ahead of you, Coach. So that's like what you went into Hoboken saying, I'm going to be this guy.
Yeah, I was actually the water boy for a lot of those games. So.
Hell yeah. Oh, you grew up in Hoboken, Coach?
Yeah. Hoboken. So from the Pop Warner level, we were always exposed to Hoboken football, and Coach Stinson had a relationship with us early.
I mean, Hoboken football was no joke. As a kid growing up, I was at Butler, and it was like every year we were in the finals, and it was like, oh, Hoboken's there again. They're playing Ramapo in the finals or something. I mean, they were a program, dude.
Yeah.
I wonder if you get this at all, because when I was at Pal Park, Leone, and we were starting to win a lot of games, and we were in the state championship, and then I got I don't know, like 13 game home winning streak or whatever. There, all of a sudden, I started getting people coming to me and saying, Coach Schumann, because I was living in Hoboken at the time, Coach Schumann's grabbing players from Hoboken. I wonder if, since you guys have a powerhouse at Union City, if they go and say Coach Valdez are grabbing guys from Hoboken, that's why Hoboken's not as good anymore.
I'm sure. There's talk nowadays. You just got to keep your head down and work, man.
Listen, man, we all get it. I get it. It don't matter what you do, how you do it. You can do it by the book, whatever. There's always going to be somebody that's, trying to bring you down when you're winning. And you got, Coach, listen, Union City is a relatively new school, correct? The school opened what year?
I believe it opened in 2009.
Right.
No, 2008. So 2008 and 2009, they were coached by Joe Rotundi, who's an O-line coach at St. Peter's Prep. And he was actually my O-line coach when I was at Hoboken. So he's a heck of a coach, great person. So I've always had a lot of respect for Coach Joe. Then they posted the job in 2010. I was at Ferris. We had 4 consecutive winning seasons there, so we kind of were getting rolling there. And then that's when this opportunity, came. And we've been a stable of consistency, man. That's what
Absolutely, Coach. And that's where I met you when you were I first played against you, and when I was at Passaic Valley and you were at Ferris. And,
yes.
Looking around, seeing what you were doing with, a smaller program, really kind of some restraints on it in terms of certain things. And then when you got this gig, man, I was excited for you because I knew it, bigger population, you know what I mean? Your area, and now to see the school and to see kind of how you've continued to trend upwards, you just never see, you never see Union City with a bad year. It's you know what I mean? It's just, I don't really see it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm most proud of. A lot of times you see some programs that they'll put out a good team and they'll go from 9-2 or 10-1 to all of a sudden 3-7. Or, they'll have some down years. So we like to think that, that's a tribute to what we do in the off season to our kids. But, and that's one of the things I always promise, we're never going to go away. You can't win it every year. And then God knows it took us a while to get over that hump and win one, but we were always there, and not for, some things that just happens, just fate. We might have had a couple more, questionable calls in the past. We've had, some injuries, whatever. But one thing we're going to promise you, we're going to be there. We're going to be in the playoffs. We're going to be in the semifinal. We're going to be in finals. And that's what I'm most proud of, that we're not a team or a program that's just a good team 1 year or a good team for 2 years. We're constantly, in the mix.
What are some of the things that you try to instill in your team from a philosophical standpoint, like some core tenets that you want the kids to come away from? I know you're an administrator at the school, so that's a job where you're in a big leadership role. Obviously, as the head coach, what are some of the core tenets that you want your players that come through your program to come away with?
There's so many different things, from the things that we preach on the field to the things that we preach off the field. Obviously, in an urban environment, those things go hand in hand at times, but sometimes not, So one of the things off the field that I always remind my coaches and some of our older guys who have already bought in is that we're competing against the streets, right? So we have to be as glamorous. We have to be as fun. They have to get as much attention, because those are the elements that the streets are giving our kids, and that's why they're choosing that. And a lot of times, we let the sport or whatever activity it may be, we let it become boring or monotonous, where it's the same thing, and it's, you know, or the coach is a drill sergeant, and now you compare that to a little bit of freedom out in the streets, doing what you want when you want. So I always remind them guys, I said, look, man, it's either this or the streets. We have to appeal to these kids the same way the streets do. So we have to make this fun. This has to be a family environment where kids can be themselves, where they can have a good time, where they can make a mistake and not be belittled or made fun of by a teammate, or especially not a coach. So we have that going. We blast the music during practice. You see some of the young coaches dancing. You know,
well, you do have that flavor on your staff. I don't think Coach McKnight has better moves than your DB coach, but that, like, he ain't getting that. But I'm sure he'll swear by it.
No, so that's what I mean. Like, we've taken the approach of, and you know, you probably heard this in some rap lyrics when Jay-Z says, "Check out my swag, I walk like a ball player." You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a rapper wanting to be a ball player. And so I've done, like people want to be you. You don't have to want to be them. Don't dumb yourself down. You know what I'm saying? Like, athletes, we're the top. We're the top of the pinnacle. You don't have to say, oh man, that dude, you know, don't got to go to practice. He wishes he could come to practice. You know what I mean? He just doesn't have that. So we try to, like, make that real relatable. Like, these dudes, like, if you look on a Friday night, a lot of those quote unquote street kids are sitting up in the stands.
Yeah, man. They won't be there.
So we try to do that. I mean, as far as like what we preach on your day-to-day basis, probably what you're going to hear from anybody else. Work ethic, especially with our kids, we want them to respect not only their environment, the people around it, but to respect the game. You know, and I'm sure, like, I'm 46 and I'm like the OG in Hudson County, which I'm like, man, I can't believe it. When I started coaching, it was Stinson, Askeles, Hanson, you know, the dad, Ricky Rodriguez. So it was like, I was a kid. Those were the OGs. So I was like, wow, like, I learned a lot from those guys. And you know, sometimes, like,
we're not them.
No, we're definitely not. But at the same time, we have to keep some of them. You know what I mean? Like, we can't reinvent the wheel. We can't try to reinvent the wheel. Those guys were great for a reason. And I'll stop quoting Stinson. I'll never stop, you know, saying or doing or feeling the things that Stinson felt when he coached, because it's a new generation or because it's a new era. You can't do that. Like, no, that's BS. I'm not lowering the standards. That's what I learned. That's what got me to the places I've been, and I'm not going to change that. And that's why instead of 100 kids on the team, we have 50.
I think,
which is unlike other Group 5 programs, right? So, like, every team that you're probably playing in the playoffs has 25, 30 more guys on the other sideline than you, but that's where it comes down to, like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, what's the core really made up of? There's
some exclusivity, right? You can't just jump in and be able to hang on. You know, we still got guys that barely made it. Trust me. You know, now that we're doing the ring measuring, I'm like, how many practice?
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, bro. Like, did you even, like, listen, you know, there's always going to be guys that want to be on the team to wear the varsity jacket to get in the picture, right? I mean, especially where you are, like, those dudes just want to be a part of it and look at it. Now it's like, bro, I don't even remember you being here, like, right? But they want that ring.
And I think that's where we do a good job of holding them accountable. And I feel like, you know, and you guys know, the world has changed, especially post-COVID, and everybody's very, like, hypersensitive to how you speak to a kid or how you treat a kid or whatever. And I think it's a disadvantage to these kids because we're not holding them accountable for or preparing them for real life.
For life, yeah. What happens in life when your boss says something to you or you do this? I will credit you one thing, though, Coach, and then Dave, I'll let you go. You've kept your staff pretty much the same since from the jump. You know, I mean, maybe a guy has left for a year or two, came back, but the core of your coaching, I mean, look, I believe, in my eyes, you have one of the best offensive line coaches in the state. You know, he's the man, dude. And then, you know, you got Lamar, and I mean, your staff, you've just kept your staff together, which that continuity and that the kids see that. Right. Like, so they see how close the coaching staff is. And, like, this is what a team is really. So you're kind of practicing exactly what you preach. So I just think that was something I wanted to mention, just that your staff is absolutely phenomenal.
No, yeah, those guys have been great. And I think we've developed a high level of trust each other and hit it on the money. I think our kids see that, and it has everything to do with what I said prior when I said that this is a place where people want to be. And when I say a place, I mean the program, wherever we are, whether we're in the weight room, whether we're on the field, whether we're taking a trip to Rutgers or the Giant Stadium, whatever it is that we're doing, people want to be around the characters that I have here. Whether it be, I could be in a bad mood one day and Coach Johnson or Coach Ramos, hold it up, or, Coach Wright or Coach McKnight or Coach Flores or whoever it may be. We have all different ethnicities from Hispanic to Black to white. Our linebacker coach is a 71-year-old white man. You know what I mean? Our DB coach is a 30-year-old Black guy. The head coach is Dominican. So it's like you could just go on and on. But again, it's a fun place to be, and I think that's why our coaches don't want to go anywhere either.
I think you mentioned something that I think is really important, that the kids have to understand that people want to be great athletes. Like, it's not the other way around. Being a great athlete is such a rarity, and being on a championship team is even more rare.
There's less of it.
Instilling the understanding that those guys who don't do the right thing, they want to be you, but they can't do what is necessary to be you, right? And helping those kids understand that, I think, is so important. And you talk about it, keeping them away from the streets, and matching some of the things that they think might be fun by being out in the streets, instilling a little bit of that in your program at the same time that you make them understand that, hey, being an athlete is a special thing. Like, those guys can't do that. They can't do what you can do. Not only can't they do it athletically, but they're not willing to work to accomplish anything. And in itself, on its face, that's special. That's why you see rappers and musicians and actors on the sidelines of these college games. They want to get as close to it as they can, because they can't do that. They can't be in front of 100,000 people cheering them, because they could do some things athletically that nobody else can do. Right. And I think that is a really, really important point with the young people today, to help them understand that. I love that you really try to instill that in them, because what their skill set is rare, right? Is rare, and people can't do that. People don't have the work ethic, and maybe not even the athleticism or skill set athletically to do it. And they should embrace that, because the other guys, they don't have any skill set. They don't have any skill set. You guys are the ones with the skill sets. You are the ones that have something special, not those guys. They have nothing special. They're just trying to trick you. They're just trying to trick you and thinking that you should be over on this world, when you're the one that actually has the gifts, and you're the one that actually has the hard work.
And also, that being said, like, it's a good comparison where you compare it to, the Hollywood stars and all that go on the sidelines. But at least in that case, those people also have a special talent and a special skill.
Right.
In our case, when comparing our kids to what's out in the streets, those guys have nothing. Those guys have minimal skills. Some of them can't read. Some of them can't write. Some of them can't on the block because they smoke Black and Miles and drink Hennessy all day. So we're not even comparing ourselves to great Hollywood stars. We're comparing ourselves to people that have chose the minimum, because it's a way for them to get the same attention you're getting on the field, which you sacrifice so much to be able to get that headline, or to be able to get that girl to look at you.
Yeah, man, those clicks.
Now, meanwhile, these guys just stand on a corner with their pants hanging off, and they're getting, or they think they're getting that kind of attention, because unfortunately, some people do glorify what they're doing, and they're getting attention for doing the minimal. They're doing nothing. They're standing on a corner doing nothing, just rotting away and getting some attention. So now you got two choices. I could be waking up at 6 a.m, lifting weights, learning plays, getting hit, blah, 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 to be noticed in life. Or I could just be the on the bottom of the totem pole and just stand on the corner, and that's basically what we're competing with.
And you'll still be standing there the next 20 years.
I always tell them, I said, if I take you right now to where I'm,
same dude,
same dude's doing the same thing. So
if they're not, they're dead.
correct. Or
in jail.
Or jail.
Correct.
Or not doing well. I mean, they're not doing well, like struggling every single day because they made poor choices, right? Even if those guys wake up 20 years from now,
right, they're still going to regret it.
They're trying to figure it out, and it's sometimes way too late, man. Like, this is the time to invest in yourself.
Right.
See, and I love that, because they have to mesh being able to be everyone, I hear this all the time. They're just kids, right? And it's like, well, listen, the objective is to take these kids
And to
and
make them not
make them into successful adults, right? No one's saying they can't have fun and hang out with their friends. What we're saying is, hey, they've got to be prepared for the next step. And football, academics, doing the right thing, those are important part of being the next step. Because what happens if you're doing a poor job in high school, chances are you're going to do a poor job in the next phase, whatever that is, college, if not college, your job. And it's going to continue until all of a sudden you wake up and go, oh my goodness, because you know this, at being 46, I'm going to be 50 in February. Man, it goes by like this. You
look at my beard, man.
Yeah, that wasn't always like that. He wasn't out in Coral Gables.
It goes by. I still feel like I'm that guy in college. I just can't move as fast, right?
No, not at all.
I also think, Coach, I think you being in the school too is a whole different type of thing. Like, now you can really control and I'm not just talking about your team, right? I'm talking about all the other outside stuff that's coming down on that team to be like, hey, you should do it this way, you should do it that. You can now kind of control the mass population within the school itself. I think that's extremely important. And obviously, you do a great job with it. Like, and your role within the school isn't an easy role.
No, it's certainly not. And I think, I mean, the way I personally do both jobs is, I mean, I recall from some of those old school people that I told you about, there would be a sense of I would feel almost like they were bigger than life. Like I would be intimidated. Like, you're around your head coach, even just a young coach, you would be intimidated because I'm just a kid. Like, I own 2 pair of jeans, 6 t-shirts, and 4 underwear. Like,
1 pair of shoes. Like, this is what we're doing.
Meanwhile, you have these people in front of you who are pretty established, and so one of the main things, I think, something that we have that's unique, and I've learned it as I've become older, is that you don't have to pose as what some other coach is. You could be your own person. So my mistakes, my kids know I had a daughter my sophomore year at Miami when I was 20 years old. My kids know I almost got kicked out of Miami because I did some dumb stuff with some really not good people. My kids know about the times we got into bar fights at Miami. Like, they don't see the guy that did it all correctly. Like, I could tell them all the wrongs that got me to the right place. So
but they respect you for that, Coach. Like, that's respect in terms of, now, look, you're willing to share that with me. And now I can see, like, those mistakes that I'm going to make mistakes. I just have to know how to handle it after the fact. We're trying to help you prevent them, but we understand that it's going to happen.
And what the worst part is? I mean, it's a negative and it's a positive. When we're the head coach, we're the epitome, we're the role model, we're it. A lot of the times we look at it as like we have to wear this steel armor. We got to show that we're unflappable, and you know what? It's fake. It's fake. Like,
yes,
I hate when somebody says to a kid, "Come on, don't be a P word, don't be scared." And I'm like, there ain't no football player here that could tell me they wasn't scared. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man. I tried to tackle guys like you in the backfield. Hell yeah, I was scared.
We went to Doak Campbell, Florida State. They got over 105,000. You got Peter Warwick Dunn. Scared. I was scared. And I think I was on kickoff and kickoff return. Don't tell me you wasn't scared. Now, your reaction to it, that's under your control. Don't tell a kid not to be scared. Don't tell a kid not to be nervous.
It's natural.
There's so many things that we correct these kids and tell them that they're doing wrong that we A, did, and B, sometimes still do. So, and instead of telling them don't do this, tell them how to deal with that feeling. Tell them how to deal with that circumstance. Like, look, when you play a superior opponent, you might be a little nervous. You might be a little scared. Now, what you do is you dig a little deeper. If you run this fast, you got to run this fast. If you this hard, now this week you got to hit this hard. Like you just got to dig a little deeper and find it, and you'll be all right. But don't tell me, when you're playing Middle Tennessee State and when you're playing Alabama, it's the same feeling. It's not.
No.
It's not. So you got to prepare different. You got to think differently. You got to think positive. You got to.
Yep.
So there's so much to it. That's why, I like some of these sports psychology classes where
Coach, I think that's where it starts, right? Because, to me, if a player's comfortable enough with you to be susceptible and to you know what I mean, to be willing to share certain personal information, and they trust you, they're not going to run through a wall for you, right? So I think, to me, it's always people, right? It's always people in those relationships. I can coach anybody, but I'd rather coach, I can coach X's and O's, and that's kind of what we talk about all the time. Like, that's the easy part, man. But how do I, that button that I push on my quarterback to get him going might not be the same button or the way that I handle my receiver, right? You got to know each one of your players kind of individually and then work with them like that. And also talk to them about, hey man, this is normal. These feelings that you have right now, this is part of you growing up, getting better, all that kind of stuff. I think really approaching the kid individually is kind of how coaching is. I think that is more of the successful way to coach now. At least that's how I'm always going to do it. Because I know coaches that cared for me or even gave a little bit more of an effort, man, I was going, right? And look, we all had different types of coaches in terms of, we've had the guy that just a screamer, yelling, whatever, could never do anything right. We had the other guy that would kind of tap you on that happy balance, I think, is what makes successful. And that's kind of how you approach it, and your staff is broken up, right? Like good guy, good cop, bad cop. It doesn't have to be the same way every day, but you kind of just play the role, right? If that guy rips you apart, okay, I'm going to come grab you around the waist and be like, look, this is why, let's do that, right? You got to have that balance. I think that's what kids respond to today.
Totally agree.
Coach, before I let you go, I wanted to ask one thing about development of your coaches. So you've had a staff that's been with you for a long time, and being a coaching for a long time, guys get aspirational, right? About what they want to do. They have goals of moving up, I don't know, from position coach to coordinator or maybe coordinator to head coach one day. How do you balance continuing to develop them as men and as coaches, and then also, and they've remained loyal to you for a long time, but at the same time, you help them along in their career. How do you handle that? Because that's always a tough thing for head coaches.
Good question, Dave.
They all know that I would never try to hold any of them back. In the meantime, I think we learn and grow together. You guys know as football guys, every week, every opponent, every circumstance is unique. You never have the same week back to back, So I think we all deal with the ups and downs together. As the leader, I always have to make myself aware that the rest of the coaches and the kids are going to feed off of my reaction to everything and my approach to everything.
Yep.
So I would like to say that, when their time is up here and they move up to different places and take over their own programs or whatever, that they would take some of what we did and some of the ways that we handle things and use it to help them grow as head coaches now. And more importantly, that then they would also groom guys to be able to be in that leadership role when they're 46 and 50, and we could continue this thing going and keep imposing our will on kids to do better as young men, to do better in the classroom, to do better, just out in life. And that's my biggest thing, that they take away that aspect of it. Like Derek said before, the X's and O's, especially nowadays, it's a world of information. You find that at YouTube, you find that at a clinic, wherever you want. But as far as, just dealing with everyday life adversity, reacting to adversity, those type of things, I always have to make myself accountable that the way I go is pretty much the way it's going to go.
Coach, fantastic answer. It's been great having you on. I don't want to hold you up too long. We're at over an hour. I don't want to keep you. Not that you're in a hurry to go, but but I don't want to keep you from your duties. It's been great having you on. We'd love to have you back anytime you ever want to come on, talk football, any topic. I mean, from coaching.
Let me know. I had a good time. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks
so much,
man.
Coach. Have a great day.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was great. Great stuff with Coach.
I really like that, man. I like that whole thing. And like, that's the appeal. We have to appeal more than the streets. I mean, that's some real shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't something that I deal with at St. John Vianney on a, listen, I mean, maybe on a small scale, but you're talking a Group 5 program. Shit, we didn't even talk about the fact that they play on a roof. Like,
I know. That was one
we
of the
didn't
things
even talk about the fact
that
that they, the crow's nest, right? Because they're the Union City something flying. I don't know what it is, something like a bird or whatever. Eagles, Hawks, I don't know, something. But they call it the crow's nest, and like, it is on the roof of the school. It's one of the coolest settings ever. And listen, I've linked up with him. I've known him for a bunch of years, coached against him when I was at West Orange in the finals 2 years. I mean, he's a good coach, man. He's a good coach. He understands the dynamics of his program, right? And how they're different than any other places. And he doesn't, I got to do it like this. I got to do it like this. No, we're going to do it this way. And this is how it's going to be done. And those kids, he's saving lives. You know what I mean? Whether anybody wants to see it or not, he's saving lives doing what he does. And he's being successful, and for him to get his first state title this year or get another, I think this is his first one, right? I think it's his first one.
This would first. I think this was the first.
I mean, it's awesome. And to do it 0 for 2 passing, no passing yards, I love it.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, when you're rolling, running, there's no desire to put.
I mean, you heard him reference. He says, "Look, sometimes I don't want to go 1st and 10, 1st and 10, 1st and 10. I want it to be 2nd and 6, 3rd and 3, so I can just, here I come. This is what I'm doing. Stop me." Right? Like, kind of that arrogant, we're coming at you, tough guy attitude. But that's what his team is. I mean, if you follow him on any of the social media stuff,
I know that's the other thing I'd love to talk to him about next time, because he does a great job with his personal social media integrating.
He allows people to see him being a human outside of, right? Correct. Hey, I'm at my daughter's softball game, or hey, man,
here's me working out. I mean, that's how I knew he worked out, right?
Or hey, here I am out with my coaches, or hey, I'm flying to Miami to Edgerrin James. I'm going to his house, and he. Right? Like, this is the stuff that he does. He had multiple NFL guys, multiple Miami guys come to their games this year, right? Like Bubba Franks and all these guys that have played at high level. He has access to that. But he allows everybody to see it. Like, hey, and listen, I love the fact that he is open with his players. Like, hey, I did some things, I screwed up. Like, here's kind of how it is. I'm a firm believer in that, and you know how it is. Like, I coach players, I don't coach plays. You know what I mean? Like, it's about the individual. My guys, I want to know what makes them tick. He really does that, and to have a big time administrative role within the school itself. Now you can see that the school structure understands how important he is to everything.
Amen. Let's end it on that note. And great podcast. I think I
definitely got to get him on again.
Yeah, definitely. I still have to cut up the last one.
We got a lot.
Yeah.
This is number 20. This is number 27.
This is okay. Oh well, yeah. You're keeping track. So
hell yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Until next time.